Okay, just wanted to make a second video here, a little help with these practice problems. I already had a video helping you with problems 1 through 12, so I just wanted to make a second video because there's kind of a lot of practice problems here this week. Let's see, we got 13 through 20 is converting mixed numbers into an improper fraction. And so if we remember, all we have to do there is, hold on, is just multiply these two numbers and then add this numerator. So this is going to be 6 times 5, which is 30, plus 1 is 31, and then you always put it over the same denominator. So that would be 31 over 5. All right, so these should be pretty easy. Let's just go ahead and show you guys number 15. Just because it's a little bit different. Just remember, kind of don't think about just know that the answer is going to be negative, but don't try to multiply negative 4 times 4, because then you're going to get the wrong answer. So just do 4 times 4, and then add 3. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19, so we get 19 over 4. Remember that same denominator, and just know that the answer is negative. Okay, pretty similar to 16. All right. Express the following decimals rounded to the nearest thousandth. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So that's going to be after 3 decimal places. So this is as easy as just dividing the top number by the bottom number. So divide 13 by 4 and you should get the decimal equivalent. For number 18, we'll do that one. So you could go ahead and convert this into an improper fraction and then divide it, but it's probably a lot easier. Just know, okay, 5 is the whole number here. So I'm going to put that out in front, and let's see what the fraction or the decimal equivalent of 5/6 is. So just divide 5 by 6. So 5 goes in first, divided by 6, and you're going to get 8.333333. So that's a repeating fraction. So we got, here's 8's going in the tenths place, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and so this next one is a 3. And because this is a 3, we would keep this the same. If it were 5 or above, we would round this to 4. If it were 4 or lower, we would just keep it the same. So that is your answer, 5.833. All right. I will do 19. You guys can do 20. So remember, hit the second key so you can get those second functions, and then the x squared button. So you're going to get the square root symbol on your calculator. Press 67. Looks like this one's already in simplest radical form, so it just kind of spit out the same answer. And then you're going to go to the bottom right hand corner, and there's that arrow going left and arrow going right key. Press enter to that, and I get 8.185352337. So I'm going to write the whole thing out, or not the whole thing, I'm going to write a few out. So it's 1.18535. Okay, and so I need to round to the tenths, hundredths, thousandths place. So here's what I need to round. So I look to the number to the right. Is this 5 or above? I would round this to 6. But if it is 4 or lower, I'm just going to keep it the same. So the answer here is 1.185. Okay, you guys can try 20. All right, so now we're going to plot each number, whether or not they're greater than, less than, or equal to. If you struggle with this, it sounds a little elementary schoolish, but just think about, you probably heard like the alligator wants to eat the bigger number. That's the best way to look at this. It's really easy. So what you want to do is convert these into decimals, probably the fastest way to do this. So for 21, I have 9/4. So if I divide 9 by 4, I get 2.25. So the equivalent of this fraction is 2.25. All right, so 2.25. And what is bigger, 2.25 or 2.5? If you're not sure, this is something that you struggle with, if you add zeros on so they both have the same numbers, okay, well this is 2.25 and this is 2.50. Okay, so 2.50 is clearly bigger. So that means the mouth wants to eat that one. Always wants to eat the bigger number. Okay. All right, moving on. We'll do this one too. I'm just going to go ahead and first of all put this -3 out in front because I know that's going to be the whole answer part. And then just divide 2 by 3. I should get 0.66666 repeating with a 7 at the end. That's just calculator rounding. So I'm going to just put 2.67. I'm going to round in the hundredths place. All right. And then on the other side, I'm going to drop down that negative to remind myself that that is going to be a negative answer. And do the same thing. This is all just calculator work. You just enter this into the calculator and it does all the work for you. And so I get 4.123. All right, well, which one is bigger? This is a tough one, or maybe for some people, think about smaller being colder, right? If this were colder temperatures, it would be it's colder if it's -4 degrees out, then it's -3 degrees out, right? So that means -3.67 is actually the bigger number, so the mouth wants to eat that. Okay? All right, you guys can give 21 a shot. These ones, pretty basic. Absolute value, just remember it's always positive. Absolute value of 2/3, so you simplify in here. What's the absolute value of positive 2/3? Well, it's positive 2/3. And then this being out in front, we drop it down into our answer. So this one is -2/3, and I'll do 27 as well. So the absolute value is of -4.5 is positive 4.5. Remember, absolute value is always, always, always positive. And then this negative out in front means we drop it down into our answer. So that is -4.5. Okay? All right, I'll do a couple of these. Let's see, why don't I do one positive, one negative. You guys can try the other ones. All right, so the first thing we want to do is just convert these all into the same form. So it looks like the easiest thing to do would be to convert into decimals. So we got 1.6, well, that's 1.6. Absolute value of -1 is +1, it's just always positive. 5/3, we just divide 5 by 3, 5 goes in first, divided by 3. We can do 1.67. And the square root of 4, you could use your calculator on this, but hopefully we all know that the square root of 4 is 2. All right, and now we can go ahead and rank these out. Really, this is just between these two. What's smaller, 1.6 or 1.67? Okay, well, if you think about this as 1.60, that might help you. So 1.60 is smaller than 1.67. All right, so when we go and convert them back into their original form, the smallest thing here is 1. So that was the absolute value of -1. So that's the least greatest. The next would be 1.6, which was 1.6, so that one's easy. And then 1.67, which was 5/3, so that's next. And the last one would be 2, which was the square root of 4. All right, that's how we do those. Why don't I do 31 next? Because we get some negative numbers. Okay, let's see. So these ones are already decimals, so that's kind of nice. All we have to do is convert these to, let's just divide 16 by 3 and just know that the answer is negative. So we get 5.333. So I'm just going to write 5.33. And same thing with the square root of 26. Just know that the answer is going to be negative because it's going to drop down in front of it. But if I hit my secondary function key and the x squared key, I'm going to get my square root symbol. and then I just type in 26, press enter, double arrow key, and I get 5.099. So I'm going to go ahead and round that to 5.1. All right, so now let's see, what is the smallest number here? And these are negative numbers. So you got to remember that it's kind of like the biggest number is actually going to be the smallest, because on a number line, the smaller numbers are to the left, okay? So my smallest number here is actually negative 5.33. So that was negative 16 thirds. So there's my first one. If you want to just cross them out, then you know you're done dealing with them. All right, what is smallest next? Well, we got negative 5.1, negative 5.15, negative 5.2. And so if you're not sure, if you add zeros, that might help. And just remember, we're negative, so the furthest left would be smallest. So we got negative 5.15, negative 5.20. So it sounds like this would be the next one in terms of this would be plotted further to the left. So this is negative 5.2, and then we would go with negative 5.15, which was just our decimal answer. And the last one would be negative 5.0, which was negative square root of 26. All right, hopefully that helps. Looks like we got another section. Let's take a look at this section here. So some true-false statements. So the easiest thing to do here is just answer both sides and see if you get equal statements, right? So I've got on this side, we need to simplify inside here first because your absolute values are grouping symbols. So I get 8 times negative 2. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. And it's still in the absolute value bars. So now I simplify. What's the absolute value of negative 16? It is 16. All right. And let's see. Now, on the other side, we have absolute value of 8. That's 8 times, before we do that, what's the absolute value of negative 2? 2. So now we just have 8 times 2, we get 16. Is 16 equal to 16? It sure is. This is true. All right. Moving on, let's see. We've got a very similar problem. We just kind of did this part. 8 plus a negative 2, or 8 plus a negative 2, that is going to be, oh, sorry, I'm doing this wrong. This one's not very similar. 8 plus negative 2, that is going to be positive 6. Absolute value of positive 6 is 6. And let's see on the other side. We get 8. Absolute value of positive 8 is 8. And the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. So now we have 8 plus 2. This is 10. 6 and 10 is not equal. So this one is false. Okay. Hopefully that made sense. You guys can give 37 and 38 a shot. If you have time to give the skills review a shot, go ahead and try it. If not, it's okay if you skip that section. And if you need a little bit more help going through ordering from least to greatest with negatives, that might help you out. And then give this number 3 a shot in the application section. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to have you guys give it a shot. All right. I got about 50 seconds left. I'm going to do number 2 with you guys really quick because it's one more of these. So just remember, you have to kind of solve this first and then go through and list it. So the first thing we want to do is figure out the square root of 9, which is 3. Use your calculator if you want. And then this is then included in the answer, so it makes it negative 3. Okay, so now we're really looking at negative 3. Is negative 3 a whole number? It's not a whole because whole numbers are only positive. It is an integer because integers are whole numbers that are negative and positive. And if it is an integer, it is rational, and it can't be rational and irrational. So there you go.